I just watched Pluribus on Apple TV and it messed with my head. Hear me out. Pluribus is a TV series on Apple TV. Uh, I won't be discussing the full details of what happens in the show, but I will be exposing the plot quite a bit. So it's about a post-apocalyptic society, but it's very different from the way you see other post-apocalyptic movies or TV shows. For instance, in this show, the virus is not accidental. Okay, it's not accidental. The virus is spread intentionally, and it creates this collective consciousness. That's what the apocalypse is, a collective a collective consciousness. And it really got my wheels kind of turning. Like, what happens when connection erases individuality? And is that worse than being alone? So, in the show, there are a total of 12 survivors. 12. The rest of the entire population, over 7 billion people, are a collective. They all think at the same thing, they speak at the same time. The main character, Carol, she could not be infected by the virus. So then, therefore, she's kind of alone or she's on the outside, but they understand that she hasn't been impacted by it. So they're kind of coming to her, trying to see how they could help her or make her life easier since she didn't get to become a part of them. Like they almost feel like she's not going to be happy with this fact, or I don't know, like they feel she should want to be a part of them. So apparently they don't think individuality has any value and you can't possibly be happy not being a part of the collective. So there's that. The 12 survivors, they're all over the world, spread out. Some of them are happy with this. Some of them like this society. And they like it because there's no conflict, there's no friction. Um, Everybody agrees, right? It's collective. And there's no loneliness. They're all there together, really, and consciously, um, and subconsciously, really, at the same time. So, um, it's very, very interesting. Carol, however, our main character, she thinks it isn't how people should be. Like, we weren't meant to be without uniqueness. um, People thinking as a collective means that there's no free will, right? There's no autonomy. And she has all of this. Um, she she's really convicted in the fact that she doesn't think that this is right. However, she goes up against the challenge of being alone. She is alone because everybody else is part of the collective. Like she is battling whether or not she wants to not whether or not she wants to stay that way, but she knows she'll be totally isolated, if she doesn't join the collective, do the joining. And I just started to think like, we're not very far from that now. Like, social media is kind of like a soft collective consciousness. That's how I feel. Like, we have shared language, shared outrage cycles, shared opinions, and I just kind of feel like um, we're living in what someone may call a collective consciousness currently, maybe, if you can see it that way. And it's not to say that people don't have free will. Like I said, it's a kind of a soft collective consciousness. It's more so to say that it's easier to get people to have the same opinion, right? Like at this point, I just kind of think like, um, what happens? Like, if if we become very, very connected, and does it erase individuality? So this is Carol. That's the opening scene when she finds out the doctors, everyone has their focus on her because they realize that she's not part of the collective. 9 episodes, yeah. It was really interesting, really, really interesting. And honestly, I don't know what's worse, like, um, losing yourself or being alone. But it's something to think about, and I think we need to be talking about that more because we can be alone, be on social media, and then we're not alone, but then we're joining the collective and we're being bombarded with everyone else's opinions. And once you've heard everybody else's opinions before you even start to form your own opinions, it can be quite challenging to not have that impact your perspective. So I don't know. I don't know. I know other people are thinking about this. If you have thoughts on this, guys, leave your theories below in the comments. Explain it to me like I'm five because I've just started thinking about this and I want to see what Reddit has to say about collective consciousness. Ooh, pops right up. Okay, so, okay, it's being talked about. Is collective consciousness a real thing? And what exactly is it? People are thinking about this. I left a group called Consciousness Collective. Here's what I wish I knew before joining. Ooh, posted 1 month ago. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to see what this is about. I wanted to share my experience because I wish posts like this had existed before I got involved. Okay. I'm sensing a little bit of danger. A little bit of danger. For a period of time, I was part of a group called the Collective Consciousness. It presented itself to me as trauma informed, spiritually advanced, and devoted to awakening. Sounds like a cult, does it not? Sounds very much so like a cult. And while the teachings were beautiful on the surface, the actual relational dynamics were almost textbook high control. After leaving, it took time to map out what I had experienced. The patterns matched point for point in high control group behavior and the notes I later compiled for myself. This is what it looked like from the inside. Feedback wasn't welcome. It was pathologized. Pathologized. There's a word. Any concern or disagreement was reframed as your trauma. Ooh, okay. They use words like this in the show Pluribus, okay? Your unresolved patterns, your OCD loop. So there's another character of the 12 survivors in Pluribus, and he actually looks up the word loop in the dictionary when he's trying he and Carol have this idea that maybe it's an option for them to save the world, and he looks up this word loop in the dictionary, and next to it as part of the definition it says circuit. Take that for, you know, something to think about. Your ego, entity interference, and limited seeing. Wow. There was no actual dialogue, only diagnosis. So that sounds like anytime you express an individual thought, that they diagnose you with one of these terms, which sounds like it'll drive you crazy. I mean, that's worse than like you guys experience they say, don't tell somebody to be calm when they're calm already. Like, have you ever seen that? Like somewhere in a movie, or like you're telling someone to be calm, and that's like the worst thing you could say when they're actually outraged and keeping calm. Okay, so that's what this sounds like to me. Um, Over time, you lose trust in your own perception. That's exactly what I was just saying about social media. Like being on social media, you're getting opinions are like a dime a dozen. They're like a-holes. Everybody has one. And you're listening, they're being bombarded at you before you've even had a chance to form your own opinion. And I can see how that would cause you to lose trust in your own perception. Yeah. Yeah. You don't know what you think now, right? Like, what is my opinion? I was kind of just told what it was, and then like there's so many people agreeing with it. Maybe I do agree too. I don't know. I don't know. Just food for thought. Food for thought. A clear spiritual hierarchy shaped everything. Ooh, spiritual hierarchy. The group sorted members into clear versus unclear, awake versus unconscious. Inner circle members carried an air of superiority and repeated the same dismissive language as the leader. Let's see. So they had doubt or discomfort equals spiritual regression. Wow. Wow. Any questioning was framed as weakness or ego. Emotional experiences were reframed as spiritual flaws. Oh, a spiritual flaw. Wow. So I don't know, but that term, that term has just triggered me in a very interesting way. Okay. Normal human emotions were pathologized to maintain control and authority. Narrative control was constraint. Fear-based dependence built up slowly. Common fears inside the group: fear of being labeled unclear, fear of losing spiritual status, fear of being energetically judged, fear of stepping away and being spiritually. This was a cult. Fear of trusting one's own inner voice. Isn't that what we were all built in? We all have a built-in inner voice. From what I have always been told is listen to your intuition. Intuition is built into each individual, and my experience hasn't been great things whenever I've gone against my intuition. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I haven't experienced anything great about going against my own intuition. And sometimes when I do, or when I have, I always find out I should have listened. I should listen to my gut feeling. Like I should listen to myself. Okay. Anyway, so I go on. What finally made me leave? When I expressed my intention to step away, the responses were pressure, moral framing, distortion of agreements, and subtle warnings about my reputation or others being informed, sorry. So that was the moment she realized that, I don't know if this is a she, sorry. That was the moment this person realized this wasn't spiritual, it was coercive, and it was time to leave. Yeah, yeah. You so it was very you're the Carol. You're the Carol of the group. There was a group, there was a collective there. They all agreed to these rules, right? And you were the Carol. You couldn't be brainwashed. There's some menu, some chemical in you that wouldn't allow you to become brainwashed like the others. Good. Good on you. Stepping out was the moment clarity finally returned. Why I'm sharing this. This subreddit has helped countless people understand the difference between spirituality and spiritual control. Oof, these words, guys, these words. If you're involved with Consciousness Collective or any group that uses spiritual language to undermine your intuition, please trust the part of you that senses something is off. Yes, always, always. You're not crazy. You're not alone. Hmm. And your perception isn't the problem. No. You're entitled to your perception. You're entitled to your thoughts. You're entitled to your thought process. Being individual, listen, being an individual is what makes us who we are. It's why it's the thing you really like about somebody. It's the thing we love about each other. We think we don't like each other's differences, but I find that I love having people around me who think differently than me. Like, I want to hear opposing perspectives. I want to talk about things and have thoughts linger because now I have added data. Like, yeah, data gathering. How would we data gather is it just speaking, like kind of a little bit of philosophy, okay, but like how would we data gather if everybody thought the same? There would only we be in the echo chamber. The echo chamber doesn't sound fun, guys. Sounds like a torture device. I'm just saying. Um, so yeah, I just Googled it. Man, the people have that weird drug brainwash smile. Yes, that's the smile they all had. And in Pluribus. It's this creepy, like, hi, like everyone's the same. I don't know what would be like great about having everyone be the same and no uniqueness. I don't know what like appeal that would have. That doesn't sound fun to me. I looked it up online. It seems to be run by German and English speaking professionals. Interesting. I don't know, guys. Yeah, so that's interesting. So it is a cult. So, okay, now we're talking about a cult. So, in your opinion, is collective consciousness a cult? Please, if you have a theory, explain it to me like I'm five in the comments. Also, if you do think that collective consciousness is a cult, uh, what do you think about social media? What do you think about? It feels like social media was this place that was created for us to all share these special, unique things, like, like Instagram, like curate your page to your like personality. But then it's like once we got into social media deeper and deeper, you found a personality that maybe you thought was intriguing or appealing, and then a lot of people copied it, and so now it's just one big curated personality and like one big perspective and one big aesthetic, and no one is actually posting pieces of them anymore. It's almost like, I won't say we're being forced into a collective, but if we were, wouldn't that make it be easy for the people who are marketing things to us, right? Be really easy if you were a marketer or, a company trying to reach a large demographic to have a collective all be the same kind of thinking people. Sheesh, you'd get us to be able to you get us to buy anything you want. And we'd all agree. Well, we're doing it, right? Because everyone last year was out buying the Stanley Cup. It's collectively, okay? All right. So when this video's over, I'm not gonna use this word collective for a long time. It's a little kind of creeping me out. But yeah, I don't know what's worse, and I don't know how we fix it. All I know is something we should be talking about more, a lot more. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do the further we move into this collective consciousness because I am sorely very uh individual, and it's something that I pride myself on growing up. Um I kind of I didn't get the opportunity to be as individual as I wanted to because I had a family that almost like I was the oldest sibling, and so I had to take care of siblings, and I won't go down that. That's a story for another time. But I will say that I always felt that some of my individuality was being taken, and some of it might have just been collective, like societal programming, like Oh, indoctrination. That's a word. Ooh, that's a word. What does indoctrination mean? Oh, okay. Oh, indoctrination. The process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Wow. What does it mean to indoctrinate someone? To teach them to accept a specific set of beliefs, doctrines, or principles uncritically, often by suppressing alternative viewpoints, discouraging questions, and repeating ideas until they are accepted without independent thought. Okay. And do we think that the society we live in indoctrinates us? That answer that question down below, guys. If you have thoughts on that, does society indoctrinate us? Like, because there are like social structures, right? Like we live in a society that operates under systems that are socially structured. Like that's another thought too, and I'll leave that for another video. But I do think about this. Like we're told to you say, you meet somebody, "Hey, how are you?" And your natural instinct is say, "I'm fine. I'm fine. How are you?" Are you actually fine? Because if you weren't, would you say, "Oh, I'm not great"? I mean, if you said that, would it be acceptable? People would I don't think people like hearing you like, I think when people ask the question, "How are you?" There it's meant for you to say, "I'm great, I'm fine." Like, that's the answer they're looking for. There's an answer. They don't actually wanna know how you feel. There's an answer. So, that's what I mean, like, there is social order, social rules that we follow, which is somewhat of an indoctrination, right? Okay. Oh, so this is the AI under Google. It says, yes, society does indoctrinate subtly and overtly. Ooh, subtly and overtly. Media through institutions like schools, media, family. Yeah, family. Your family. There's a book called The Four Agreements, and the first couple chapters, the author speaks about how when you're first born, you don't know anything. And then as you start to grow up, as you're raised, like you become one, you start to understand what your family is teaching you socially. And you unconsciously, without knowing, you agree, you make agreements to certain things. It's a really good book. I love this book, but he's saying that you agree to things that you didn't actually consciously agree on because you weren't really old enough or insightful enough or have enough knowledge to not agree to them, but you unconsciously agree to them and then you stay with those agreements because it keeps you like within social order of the society or the environment you grew up in, right? So you're taught at a very young age to follow the rules. The Four Agreements. It's a good book, guys. Check it out. But that's what the author believes, and I gotta say that living by some of those four agreements is very difficult. But living by some of those four agreements has changed my life in a lot of ways. Anyway, back to this. So it says you're taught this in schools. Yep. Media, family, and culture to instill shared beliefs, norms, and values, shaping individuals to fit social structures. Though the extent and intent vary greatly, and some argue it's unavoidable in socialization, while others see it as problematic suppression of critical thought. Critical thinking, something that we are slowly not utilizing quite enough. And I say that because of an experience I had at work. I had at work, and it's almost even at work, of course, there's politics, there's social structure at work, right? Um, but yeah, like critical thinking, please bring back critical thinking. But yeah, so this lists all the different systems. Cohesion and control is the purpose, defining thought, individual agency. Wow. Okay. This is a deep rabbit hole, and I may continue to go down it, but um, I don't know. I don't know. These are just thoughts um that I was having. And like I said, if you have any theories or thoughts, please explain it to me like I'm five in the comments. Um, but yeah, I'll continue down this rabbit hole. Um, or not. But if I don't, it'll probably keep me up at night.